How cool are you, Keoni Vaughn? Look at you with the Lanai Cat Sanctuary in living color behind you. You take care of 800 cats on the Hawaiian island of Lanai. What is that life like for you? Is it heaven on earth or is it like herding cats? What's it like?
I would be remiss if I didn't use a pun. I think it's Purradise. I think one of the best jobs on the planet.
It's pretty extraordinary. Tell us a little bit the history of this refuge where 15 to 20,000 people visit you a year. So you're like second only to Disney World, right? As a
Yeah.
destination.
Yeah, so we are the island's number one attraction, where over 16,000 people from around the world come to our island of Lanai just to see the cats at the cat sanctuary. But it really started way back in 2004 by a woman named Kathleen Carroll. She started a volunteer kind of trap and neuter release program, which then turned into a makeshift sanctuary in 2008 when she worked with the local conservationists. The conservationists stumbled upon a colony of native and endangered birds, and the
Mhm.
cats were predating on these birds. And these birds are very unique. They're ground nesters. They lay one egg. They go back to the same
Wow.
nest every year. And the
Oh.
conservationists do what they do. They trap invasive animals and species and eradicate them. Well, Kathy Carroll, rather than allowing the conservationists to essentially trap and kill the cats, she asked if they could relocate the cats. And so conservation said, yeah, you have 30 days to remove as many cats as possible.
Wow.
And that's where it all started. And it just evolved from there. But it's really a win-win situation on our island for both cats and birds.
That's a wonderful story because I think many of us are aware that there's a very anti-cat sentiment on the islands of Hawaii because so many feral cats have been let loose or reproduced, and they do kill a lot of birds. And the Hawaiian Islands have extraordinary species. I didn't even know about this one kind of bird. How fascinating. One egg, and you go back to the same nest.
Yeah.
Obviously, anything that can predate on that bird is not acceptable. On the other hand, the cats didn't ask to be brought there. Some human brought them there back in the day, whenever that was, and cats reproduce sadly quickly. So the 800 cats, so this is extraordinary. This woman said, okay, 30 days, let's get our TNR traps, grab these kitties, and then she built a sanctuary.
Yeah,
So,
so she didn't really have any animal welfare experience at all. Yeah, so she relocated. She came to the island with her husband on vacation, fell in love with the island, sold her place in Illinois, and moved to the island. And our
wow,
island is very unique. So the island of Lanai only has 3,000 humans on it, no traffic lights, one gas station. And so it's a
wow,
really small community. But even from an animal welfare perspective, pets weren't even allowed on the island until the mid 90s. So prior
no
to that,
kidding.
it was known as the Pineapple Isle. So the island produced about 90% of the world's pineapple through Dole plantation. And the only ones that were really allowed to have animals back then during the plantation days were the managers and the bosses. And so all the plantation workers didn't have animals. And that indirectly really helped out with the island because, as and you related to earlier, that the pet overpopulation issue is really a human issue, right? It's
Yes,
the humans that were uneducated back then and
right.
allowed pets to go unaltered, right? Not spayed or
Yes.
neutered, and they were multiplying. And because this island is so unique, and there weren't pets on the island other than a few until the mid 90s, this island really doesn't have a pet overpopulation issue, but it
Right.
does have a feral cat issue, right? Because as you probably know, especially in Hawaii, the weather is year round. We don't have predators like coyotes, etc. And so the breeding season for cats are year round. And we all know that cats, a female cat that's 6 months old that is not spayed can have up to 3 litters a year with 3 to 5 kittens per litter. So they multiply at an alarming rate. Here on our island, we don't have a humane society. We don't have an ASPCA. We don't have
Right.
any of that. We are it. So we are the
Yeah.
only solution. And I think that's what it works out for us because I think what's important to know is even if you don't like cats, we're the solution. So I think it's, again, going back to our mission of protecting both cats and birds. It's unique, but it works well for us.
It's a brilliant solution, and being so small, you can control it. You
Try
have that
to, yeah,
ability.
try
I
to,
mean, when
yeah.
you say, wow, one gas station and one street, I'm like, I'm there. I think Vermont is getting overpopulated. People come up here because there's more trees than cars and more cows than people, but I think there should be less of those things and more of cats and wildlife. But the ability of a cat who was born to kill, not to kill anything that like not us or our children, but they are they say the biggest killers, bigger, better killer than a lion in Africa. It's what they're hardwired to do. So they're not doing anything that's evil. They're just being cats. And the fact that these birds are have no defenses. There weren't any cats there before. Were there no wild animals predating on them? I don't know, mongoose, or aren't there
Yeah.
all kinds of other animals that kill birds and eat their eggs and stuff?
So they're mice, right, and rats, but we
Right.
don't have mongoose on our island. We're one of, I think, two islands that doesn't have mongoose. So it's a very unique situation. And prior to working here, I worked for the largest humane society in Hawaii. And so I worked there for many years. I started off my career as essentially a dog catcher. That's how long ago it
No
was.
kidding.
And worked my way up to being a humane investigator slash animal police. And then I was the director of operations and vice president of the organization. And back when I was working there, our intake at the Humane Society was around 32 to 34,000 animals a year
No.
coming in. But out of the 32,000, 19,000 of them were cats. And out of the 19,000, I would say probably 90% of them were feral cats and
My God.
unsocialized, unadoptable cats. So I spent a large portion of my career in addition to investigating and protecting the animal cruelty and the animal hoarding and all that. I spent a bulk of my executive career over there in deep discussions with cat lovers and rescue groups in the same room with conservationists.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, my mentor once told me this, and it's always stuck with me, but animals bring out the passion and polarization in people. So
Yes,
in Hawaii, it's a very hot topic.
it
And
is.
so I really, once I found out about the Lanai Cat Sanctuary, I was blessed enough to have the opportunity to come and work here and really try to bridge that gap between the cat people and the bird people and see
Yeah.
if we can do something to protect both species.
I think it's great. And you have such a deep background in animal welfare. That's incredible. You've really wound up in kind of the catbird seat, if you don't mind me saying it, because you've walked the walk, you've done the hard work, you've done the painful work, you've done the heartbreaking work, you've done the sweat of your brow work. And now it's like coasting in this cat paradise. It's quite amazing. So, 800 cats. Now, I don't want you to tell me you know them all by name. But how much do you know each of them?
Who's counting? But we actually have 767 as of today. We have all our staff. I think a lot of our operational staff, they could easily call out about 250 names by just visual.
Wow.
We're with our cats all day, every day, kind of thing. But it's important to know that every cat that comes to us has a microchip, has a name, has a plan, right? So there's not
Right,
one cat that's more important than the other.
right,
But I
right.
think what's really fun and interesting to know about our sanctuary is that our cats are truly feral cats. In this day and age, cats have so many different labels, right? From
Yes,
feral cats to community cats and who
right.
knows, right? And
Correct.
from my perspective, I don't like to label cats, right? You label cats, you have a preconceived notion on their behavior and health and all that. And coming from my background of the Humane Society, where I worked there for almost 11 years, I had that preconceived notion. I thought once a feral cat, always a feral cat. Once I started working here, and January makes 12 years here as executive director, I quickly learned that through the luxury of space and time, is what our sanctuary is about
Yes.
40% of these cats who have never seen a human until our intervention, because these cats that we're bringing in are from the mountains, right? They've
Yes.
never seen a human.
Yes.
So, through the luxury of space and time, about 40% of these cats become friendly and adoptable through all the 16,000
I'll be
tourists that
darned.
come and feed them treats all day and pet the friendly ones. And the other feral ones are like, hey, that's not such a bad idea. Let me try to see if I can get in on that. And so those 40% then get adopted out, and
No.
then we have more room for all the other cats that we bring in. So it's a pretty cool model, and so far it's been a sustainable model, in which that's been a work in progress over the years.
So if 40% go out and go home with people, which is an enormous number of cats who were basically unadoptable, and as you say, in society's view, not really of any value to humans in a sense, in a kind of judgmental, critical sense. So does that adoption fee help keep the Lanai Cat Sanctuary going?
Well, here's this. You ready for this? We don't charge an adoption fee. Yeah. So, first of all, we only have 3,000 people on the island, right? Like I said
Right.
earlier. Then you got to find cat lovers out of those 3,000. Then you got to find people that live on the island that love cats, don't already have cats, and want another cat, right? So, what
And keep it indoors. It
yeah,
has to
keep
be
it
an indoor cat.
absolutely. So our policy here locally is if we adopt out to you and you live on the island, there's two conditions. One, you must agree to keep the cat indoors all the time. Two, the cat couldn't have originated from a bird sensitive area, because we do know that humans make mistakes. They do tend to Cats can tend to get out of people's homes unintentionally or intentionally in some people's cases. We don't want that cat to ever go back to that bird nesting ground and jeopardize a bird. So those are the barriers, if you will, as far as adopting out locally. And we only adopt out about 15 cats a year to local residents.
Believe that.
All the rest of the cats were about, and that ranges from year to year, but let's say another 85 cats get adopted out to all the tourists that come to the island and fall in love with the cat. We don't charge an adoption fee, and obviously they can't take the cat home with them because they're on vacation. But we
Right.
say no worries, we'll take care of it, and we'll find out where they're from. So let's say they're from Vermont. What we do is we get together all the costs associated for the flight and whatnot, and we let the person know, hey, it's going to cost $400 to get Garfield from Lanai
Right.
to Vermont. And we just ask that you cover the cost. We'll take care of the rest. And it's a big deal. So what we have to do is we have to send first we have to fly a veterinarian from another island within 10
Oh
days
my
of the flight,
God.
have the veterinarian give it a health check so it can go on the flight. Then our staff member either has to catch an hour and a half ferry with the cat to the island of Maui, stay the night in a pet friendly hotel, put the cat on a flight to go to wherever it's going. But hey,
My
listen,
God.
we much rather have our cats in someone's home on a warm lap than living its life at our sanctuary.
Right.
So we'll go through great lengths to get that cat a home.
What a great story. And the people who adopt say, yeah, I want bragging rights. I have a Lanai Cat Sanctuary cat. Go for it. They're like, yeah, okay, it's a
Yeah.
lot of work. And I'm sure there are cats that need a home right in my own town, Vermont. I live in Bennington. They recently had the St. Francis Assisi something, a society, had a big cat adoption event. And yet someone says, no, I want one of these cats. I want one of these cats that deserves that human life.
Yeah, so when I first started working here, I was personally conflicted with that example you just gave, because I just came from a humane society that had tons of cats, like
Yeah,
more
yeah,
cats than there were homes. And
yes,
so when visitors would come to our sanctuary and they fell in love with a cat, I had a hard time, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, hey, there's so many cats back at
yeah.
home that need your help. So what we do is we have those conversations, right? We want to
No
make sure, yeah, we want to make sure that it's not an impulsive decision, it's a lifelong decision. And have they thought about rescuing from their own town? And nine times out of 10, they will say, no, we love this cat, that we have a
Wow.
bond. And so through my experience over the years, I've really had to question in my initial thought, and what I came out with is once someone has a human animal bond, it's usually unbreakable, right? It's
Yeah,
when something happens that the bond breaks.
that's
That's where the disconnect happens. So I'm okay with it. And knock on wood, in 12 and a half years, we've only had one adoption that did not work out. And we covered all the expenses to get that cat back to Hawaii, which took
wow.
over 12 weeks to make that happen because of Hawaii
Wow.
not having rabies and all the
That's
laws behind
right.
it. But listen, I'll take one adoption out of over
Sure.
1,000 any day.
That's just such a great story, Keoni. What about people's generosity? So they cover the pick a number, $500, which is probably low for what it costs to get that cat just in the air to wherever they live. Do they give you something on top of it, I hope?
Most times, right? The bulk of our adoptions happen on the West Coast. So that ranges, the cost floats around $450, which is a lot of money for a cat, right? To adopt a cat when
Yeah,
some shelters are giving away cats,
they
right?
are. They are.
So but that just reassures us as an organization that if someone's going to spend $450 to fly this cat from Lanai to your hometown, the chances are they're gonna take care of that cat.
For sure. They definitely are. So these kitties we see in this really cool mural behind you, this photo, they have those cat houses. Who decides how do the cats decide where they want to sleep and live?
As you probably know, cats do what cats want to do. And
Yes.
that's our motto, right? What we try to do at our sanctuary, and it's 4 acres, we have several habitats for different types of cats. We have a kapuna center, which in Hawaiian means senior center. So all of our senior cats are in a smaller habitat. And that's because what we've learned throughout the years, having 767 cats is a lot of cats to maintain. And so what we've learned through the years is as the cats get older, they're in these open air habitats. Obviously, the cats can't climb out because of our fencing, but they're large enclosures. And so when the older cats are put in this kupuna or senior center, and that's a smaller area so our staff members can pay closer attention their
Nice.
to their needs. It's also a quieter area, so when the guests and the tourists come, there's only so many that go in there at a time and whatnot.
Now you don't have a veterinarian there, even though you have
No.
more cats than Carter has little liver pills or whatever the stupid expression is. So how do you look after their health? Just you guys are all very informed and you have great experience and you can tell if a cat is having an issue.
Yeah, so we have staff. We have currently 18 staff. And
Wow.
so we have caregivers that do the feeding and cleaning. We have veterinary
I
technicians.
see.
We have veterinary assistants. And then almost weekly, we are flying a vet and her team from another island to Lanai to tend to surgeries and
Wow.
spay, whether it be spay neuters or eye inoculations, you name it. We have a full surgery
Wow.
suite with 2 anesthesia machines, a portable x-ray machine. Coming from my background with the Humane Society and really being educated on the animal welfare component,
Yeah.
I applied everything that I learned over a decade over there and applied it to the Lanai Cat Sanctuary. And really what we are doing is we're trying to provide the highest quality of care for all 767 cats.
It's fantastic. Veterinary assistants and vet techs are extremely knowledgeable.
And
I mean,
hard to find, right?
oh yeah, they're very much in demand. It's a great profession for anyone who wants to go into the vet field but doesn't have the time, the money, or maybe the belief in themselves to go the full distance and become a vet. A certified vet tech is a very precious resource and a very knowledgeable person. Some of us as humans have a physician's assistant rather than an MD
Yeah.
because they're very knowledgeable as well. So your cats have the best possible care. Well, I do hope, Keoni, that this will both inspire people to have a new destination for their tourism. It's so much better than some of the other overcooked places that people go. This sounds like a wonderful place to go to see this beautiful underpopulated island and visit the cat sanctuary and the big mango tree where all the cats hang out. Apparently, just in closing, that's apparently a big viral photo op.
Yeah, so I just happened to be at the sanctuary and we planted the mango tree and I was doing some video for social media because We have to raise 2 million dollars a year for our operation. On an island with 3,000 people,
Wow.
our end of year giving right now is $900,000 we're trying to raise from now to the end of the year. And so it's a daunting task. And so I'm trying to do our social media stuff. And I just happen to have the videotape on my camera on. And I look up in the tree and I see about 50 cats hanging out in a mango
Wow.
tree. And I just said something silly. We don't grow mangoes in Hawaii. We grow cats on mango trees. And it got over 1 million views. There's
That's
something so
so
silly.
great. Everything you're doing makes so much sense. Anybody listening who thinks, instead of just giving to whatever you might give to and not sure where the money will go, the Lanai Cat Sanctuary, it is going to 767 cats. And even if several of them pass away from the senior center, there are new ones being found in the mountains all the time. So you'll be doing really good things to protect the birds and the cats and make sure that people aren't cross with each other. As you said in the beginning, Keoni, that's important. The human animal bond is important, but so is the human bond. And I think you're doing a great job of making sure that everybody is peaceful and harmonious together. Thank you so much for your many years in animal welfare. I'm glad you've wound up someplace so beautiful and that really deserves your skill and your passion.
Thank you so much for your time. And thanks for helping us get the word out about what we do.
It's my pleasure. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.